Imagine this. It's 1 week before graduation at Ridgeway High. Caps are ordered, gowns are steamed, and seniors are counting the days to freedom. The campus buzzes with celebration, music, and last-minute deadlines. But somewhere between the laughter and the applause, one woman's quiet disappearance would turn a season of joy into a crime scene of unanswered questions. Her name was Ms. Caroline Brooks, 32 years old, a literature teacher who believed in her students more than she believed in herself. She was the kind of teacher who left handwritten notes on graded essays. Don't give up. You're more brilliant than you think. To most, she was invisible, soft-spoken, unassuming, never the center of attention. But to her students, she was everything. What no one knew was that Caroline's world outside the classroom was crumbling. Months of unpaid overtime, a principal who dismissed her ideas, and whispers in the staff lounge about a mysterious donation that never reached the student scholarship fund. She had discovered something she wasn't supposed to. The week before graduation, she told her best friend, another teacher named Tanya Reeves, that she had proof the principal was embezzling funds meant for students. "I'm not scared," she said. "I just need to finish grading these essays first." It sounded like a joke, the kind of weary humor teachers use to survive the chaos. But that night, Caroline's car was found parked behind the gym. Keys still in the ignition, purse untouched, driver's seat pushed all the way back, and Caroline Brooks was gone. The security cameras at Ridgeway High told part of the story. 9:14 p.m. Caroline walks into the administrative wing carrying a brown envelope. 9:27, the lights flicker once. 9:31, she never walks out. At 9:42, the principal, Richard Kane, is seen leaving the building, his shirt untucked, his tie gone. He tells police later that he hadn't seen her since lunch. But the irony? Richard Kane had built his career on control every meeting, every word, every donation recorded and sealed behind bureaucracy. And yet the one person he'd underestimated, the quiet teacher he thought he could silence, had already set something in motion. When investigators searched Caroline's classroom, they found nothing unusual, except one thing: a paperback copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, sitting neatly on her desk. Inside the front cover, a note written in her looping handwriting: "If truth is hidden, look where stories sleep." At first it made no sense, until a detective followed the clue to the school library, where a row of old yearbooks sat gathering dust. Behind one of them, taped to the shelf, was a flash drive. On it, accounting records, donation slips, and a video file dated 2 nights before she vanished. Caroline sat in her classroom, speaking directly to the camera. Her voice was steady, almost calm. "If you're watching this, it means I did the right thing. And it cost me." The video exposed everything: the fake scholarship accounts, the hidden transfers, the principal's offshore payments. It was enough to destroy a career and save her students' futures. 2 days later, police arrested Richard Kane at his home. He was calm, polite, even smiling. "She's not dead," he said quietly. "She's just where she belongs." The words chilled the room. When investigators searched his phone, they found one unsent text in his drafts folder, written the night Caroline vanished. It read, "You should have stayed quiet." The case exploded in national headlines. Parents demanded answers. Students lit candles outside the school gates, writing "Justice for Ms. Brooks" in chalk across the parking lot. Kane denied everything, but his fingerprints were found on the flash drive. In court, the prosecution played Caroline's final video. Silence filled the room. Even the defense attorney looked away. When the verdict came, the crowd outside the courthouse erupted in applause and tears. Richard Kane, guilty of fraud, obstruction, and accessory to disappearance. But justice came with a question no one could answer. Where was Caroline Brooks? 3 weeks after the trial, janitors renovating the basement classroom found something wedged behind the old heating vent. A charm bracelet, rusted but intact. One charm was shaped like a small book, engraved with the words, "Hope never dies." The DNA was hers, and yet there was something else. A partial fingerprint, not Richard Kane's. Someone else had touched it, someone still out there. Because somewhere in Ridgeway, a secret still breathes behind locked doors. And when a local journalist receives an anonymous envelope marked, "For the next teacher who dared," everything Caroline tried to expose might just be starting all over again. Ms. Caroline Brooks might have uncovered a secret her principal wanted buried. A trail of stolen scholarship funds that could destroy an entire district. Her final act, a hidden flash drive behind a library shelf, brought a powerful man to justice. But it didn't bring Caroline home, because the truth didn't end in that courtroom. It began there. Months later, summer heat smothered Ridgeway, and the town tried to move on. The justice for Ms. Brooks' banners faded. Her name was scraped off her classroom door. But one person couldn't let it go. A journalist named Eleanor Vance. Eleanor was 41, a former education reporter turned investigative podcaster, sharp eyes, short dark hair, voice steady as steel. She had covered Caroline's story before, but something inside her said this case wasn't over. Then one morning, a plain envelope appeared on her desk. No return address, no postage. Inside, a single note, "For the next teacher who dared." Taped to the bottom, a USB drive. What would you do if that landed on your desk? Would you open it? When Eleanor plugged it in, her screen blinked. A folder labeled CB appeared, and inside, audio files, scanned receipts, and one recording labeled Audio 7 Final. Caroline's voice filled the room. If they're hearing this, it means he wasn't working alone. Look in the files marked Faculty. You'll find what I couldn't. Someone I trusted. What would you feel if a missing person spoke directly to you from beyond the timeline of her disappearance? Eleanor dove deep into the files, emails, ledgers, contracts, and one name kept repeating, Advanced Solutions, the company handling Ridgeway's grants. And guess who signed every check? Superintendent William Cross, the same man who cried at Caroline's memorial, calling her the heart of the school. His tears had been broadcast on live television, but behind them lay $500,000 of technology upgrades that led to nowhere. Caroline hadn't exposed one man's greed. She'd uncovered a system. When Eleanor called Tanya Reeves, Caroline's closest friend, Tanya hesitated. "They offered me a transfer right after she disappeared," she whispered. "They wanted me gone. And there was another envelope in my mailbox, a photo of Caroline, standing outside the gates at midnight, with him." Who was him? It wasn't Principal Kane. He was already behind bars. It was Superintendent Cross. Eleanor confronted him. He smiled politely and said, "Conspiracy theories." That teacher was unstable, but something in his eyes twitched. Fear. Because Eleanor had already sent the photo for analysis, and what the lab found was chilling. A reflection in the car window behind them. A woman wearing the same bracelet recovered months later in the basement vent. Caroline's bracelet. So how could that be? Had someone helped her leave, or was she forced to? Then a call came in. A warehouse fire on the edge of the county. Firefighters found charred records, melted computers, and a Ridgeway locker door half burned. But one thing survived, a faculty ID card, edges warped by heat, name still faintly visible. C. Brooks. The twist? That ID had been printed 2 months after she vanished. So who reissued it? Was someone keeping her identity alive or keeping her captive? Eleanor traced access to one person, Daniel Ward, the school IT technician who handled all security systems, including the cameras that failed the night Caroline disappeared. And guess what? He worked for Advanced Solutions too, under a new name. She realized the truth. This wasn't one bad man. It was an entire network built on making people disappear. She spent the next week piecing everything together. Late nights, dark coffee, paranoia creeping in. Then at 11:47 p.m., her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She answered, static. Then a faint voice. Ms. Vance, this is Caroline. Eleanor froze. Don't trust the files. Don't trust Tanya. They found me. They'll find you too. The line went dead. That call was traced to a prepaid tower near Ridgeway, the same one active the night Caroline disappeared. So tell me, if you were Eleanor, would you keep digging? Would you risk everything to find out if a dead woman was still alive? Because in Ridgeway, truth doesn't vanish. It gets buried until someone brave enough digs it back up. Justice was served. Or was it? If Caroline Brooks is still alive, then who's really controlling Ridgeway's truth? Stay tuned and follow for part 2, because what comes next might prove that not everyone buried stays gone.